In this video, we are going to be going over the larger conversation of Alexander Sifferlin's article, Let's Move, but Not with Shaq or Beyonce. So, we want to think about when we're thinking about the larger conversation is what else is happening in the world that is related to the article at the time the article was published, and what circumstances caused the author to write the article. So I think a good way to start with this is to think about some of the important key terms and different ideas that are going to be really important and trying to learn about them a little bit. So we'll have to think about, when the article was written. If we look at it, we can see that it was written in September 2013. And after reading the article, we know some of the main topics are health, childhood obesity, oops, I spelled that wrong, obesity, I give up, how do you spell it? Obesity. So childhood obesity. And then we've also got Michelle Obama. We've got Shaq and Beyonce. And then the Let's Move campaign. So if we're looking at 2013, I went ahead and looked up a couple of topics and some Googling that shows some of the information that's going to help us understand it. So if we look, I've got the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I've got their website up. So one thing is we're looking at obesity and seeing that it's a problem in the United States. So we can understand, we want to understand that. So these are just some terms that I want to use. These are not actually going to be the larger conversation because we need to actually get a little bit more concrete. So childhood obesity is a big problem. So childhood obesity is a big problem. We know that there's different ways that people are trying to combat it. Another thing to think about is also Michelle Obama. So if I look up Michelle Obama 2013, we can see, okay, she was at the Oscars in 2013. If we scroll down and look, we can see that she was in Vogue. So she is this big cultural figure, and we can look at her. I've looked at her on YouTube, and we can see she's hanging out with Ellen. She's doing, interviews with Stephen Colbert. She's hanging out with James Corbin. She's doing, again, we've got more interviews with Ellen. We've got carpool karaoke. So we can see that she's not just this political figure, but she's kind of this pop culture icon. So she has some fame and she is interesting to the public. So is a pop culture figure. So people know about her not just as the first lady, but as someone who's fun, who's interesting, who has fashion and can present at the Oscars. So another thing is I'm just thinking about, let's look up first lady projects. I'm not sure if that'll turn up the results, but we've got this article that says First Ladies of the United States and Their Causes. So kind of going back, this is going to be Jackie O, who was John F. Kennedy's wife. And you can see that we've learned about, that this is a tradition in the United States. So Michelle Obama was carrying on this tradition of, she wasn't just putting her name to something fun. This was her passion project, something that she cared about. So Michelle Obama's campaign was her project and legacy. So Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign was her project and legacy for her time as First Lady. So there's almost been kind of an expectation that every First Lady will come and bring in a project. Our current First Lady, Melania Trump, has a project called Be Best that's about cyberbullying. If you want to look that up, you can do some research on that. But the Let's Move campaign was Michelle Obama's passion project. So, that's what she was doing. That's what was happening at the time. And at the same time, what was happening is we're seeing Shaq and Beyonce are spokespeople. So, spokespeople for Let's Move, and they're popular figures that children are going to likely be listening to. And at the same time, I think people are watching what these different people are doing, are getting maybe a little bit cynical about what's happening with different people. They might take money from a whole bunch of different things that have conflicting interests, and this is one of those. So there could be this, concern about health, this concern about conflicting interest. So there's concerns about conflicting interests that that maybe different celebrities have. So people are, concerned about that. So we've got all these different things happening at once. And I want to think about like if there's any of these that we can, sort of flesh out a little bit more. So let's think about, childhood obesity is a big problem, especially in the US. American children are not getting enough exercise and are eating unhealthy foods, which cause them to be this way. And I think that, there's kind of, what could be tied to this. Advertising. So in addition to concerns about conflicting interests, you might see skepticism of corporations and not believing that they maybe have people's best interests at heart. I think, there's this desire for investigative journalism and understanding the truth and uncovering what may initially seem good and seeing how it's maybe not that good. So this is an example where it looks really good that Michelle Obama, this pop culture icon, is someone who's helping kids, who's helping them battle childhood obesity by telling them to eat more vegetables, to eat less unhealthy foods, to get more exercise. And not only is Michelle Obama saying that, but Shaq and Beyonce are saying that. But Michelle Obama hasn't done the work that, according to Alexander Sifferlin, Michelle Obama is a little bit concerned about, according to Alexander Sifferlin, there's a concern that she's not doing as much work as she needs to be, and she is not making sure that she only brings on people who promote healthy values so that these children get these problematic messages. So we don't have to put all this in there, but I think, the main thing is that we've got this idea that childhood obesity is a big problem in the US, and we've got this idea that these campaigns are really helpful. Michelle Obama has a lot of weight as an ambassador for trying to bring people on to be more healthy. And then we've also got these other popular figures, Shaq and Beyonce. So that's the context. Does that tell us everything we need to know about the article? No. But it lets us understand what's happening in the world so that when we read the article, we understand why these things are so important. So now that we understand the larger conversation, let's go ahead and move on to the purpose of Alexandra Sifferlin's article.